let's get started. Print is a function, and whatever you give inside the bracket, because all the functions will have simple bracket open and close, right? So in within the print, if I give, let's say 5 into 4, and now if I try to run it, it's going to give me 5 into 4, 20, correct? But if same thing I put within quotation, okay, 5 into 4, right? So it's like saying, repeat after me. So it did not evaluate to 20. Instead, it printed as it is 5 into 4. What you see here, okay, this is your triple quotation, right? These are called as comments. Triple quotation, if you put something inside triple quotation, it is treated as comments. Or if you want to give one line comment, you can say hash and followed by whatever you want to write. Okay, so I'll say will evaluate, and here I will say will print as it is, right? So this is like multi-line comment, this is single line comment. Comments are for us, for human beings. Okay, so whenever Python sees a hash, it knows that it has to ignore and it is not for them. So many times what happens, you write your program, okay, and you come back after maybe a month, or somebody else comes and works in a official setup, right? Your code is not restricted to you, right? Others will also come and use your code. So they may not know, or they might find it difficult to understand the way you have written. So that's why comments are used, and comments have to be very helpful. And as we go along, we will see comments are important tool for programmers. So wherever possible, okay, you should put comment. Okay, so far we have seen print statement without quotation, print statement with quotation, and how to give multi-line comment and how to give single line comment. Now, Python, okay, uses single quote and double quote with the same purpose. Okay, so in this case also there is no difference between line number 8 and line number 9. Only thing you have to keep in mind is, if you are starting with single quote, you have to end with single quote. If you're starting with double quote, you have to end with double quote. Okay? So there is absolutely no difference between line number 8 and 9. Python treats single quote and double quote as it is. Okay? There is no difference between them. Okay? But as I said, whatever you start with, if you put single quote here, you have to end with single quote. If you start with double quote here, you have to end with double quote. Right? You can have multiple values in the print. I can even say 5 into 6 equal to, and then I say 5 into 6. Now you see here, I'm putting what we call as arguments. Functions have arguments. So how do you know how many arguments are here? Arguments are separated by comma, and they are separated by comma. So when you see this comma, okay, it means that this is one argument and this is another argument. Okay, and when you run it, this, since we gave this argument in quotation, it is printed as it is. Okay, so this 5 into 6 equal to comes from your quotation part, and then comma will result into a space, blank space. So when you put comma, it will separate the output from first argument and the second argument. So 30 comes from second argument, because second argument we have not given quotation, correct? So it is going to evaluate 5 into 6, 30, and this is 5 into 6 equal to, and they are separated by space because we said comma. So output will be separated automatically. Python is very clever in that way. It knows that it has to separate. And one more thing you would have noticed here is, we have 4 print statements, right? And all of these 4, they're giving output in different line. This is giving in one line, this is giving in second line. So we are not explicitly saying Python to print the content in different line, but it does. Python is clever, so it knows that, okay, since I'm writing two different print, I want to print them in different line. Most other languages, programming language like Java, C, C++, they have semicolon to indicate end of line. Okay, they'll have semicolon. Now Python also has it. Okay, so when you run it, no change in the output. But what Python says is, if you are anyway going to hit enter, okay, because we are hitting enter, right? When you hit enter, I know that you are going to the next line. So you don't have to tell me that, semicolon indicates end of line. Obviously, isn't it? But it also has semicolons. So if you put semicolon or you don't put semicolon, it's not going to give you error. Okay, so let's say you have, print 5 into 4 and this 2, right? Obviously, they're giving in two different lines. 99% of the time, you will write print because two different print because you want to in two different lines. But I want them to be in same line. Then what do I do? So see, there is a default new line which is added at the end of the print statement, which actually breaks. That's why if you see here, you have this process finished and there's a gap of one line. Because this print, okay, also has new line and this has given this new line that you see, blank line, is coming from this print. Okay, so this print is giving us this blank new line. Now we need to get rid of that. So how do you get rid of that? So first we have to make it visible and then you can delete it. So how to make that new line visible? At the end of the print, let's say, you have multiple arguments, then this argument will be at the end. It is called end. And you say end equal to, and okay, this is how every print has it automatically added. Now I made this end visible. Now I don't want new line. So slash n is for new line. Instead, I want a hyphen, let's say, or I want to say and. So if you put and, okay, now when you run it, so see, instead of new line, you got space and space. So whatever you put here, that will be printed at the end of this print. Okay, and then not be just one character, it can be multiple characters. So now you see, I put space and space. So 5 into 4, 20, space and space, and now the output of next line. And this anyway has end equal to slash n. Okay, so the next value 5 into 6 has come in next line. So slash n, okay, backward slash n is used to print new line. So here we saw how to remove that default new line. Okay, now let's say I have these two values and I want to print them in two different lines. So reverse requirement. Here we have two different print statement and I want to comment or I want to join their output together in one line. Here you have single print statement, but I want to break them into two different lines. So I will put here slash n. Wherever, okay, wherever you want to break the line, you put slash n. And slash n will always be in quotation. If you want to put it here, then you have to put a quotation. Slash n will always be in quotation. Okay, so either you put it here or you put a separate argument with slash n. So this becomes one argument, this becomes another, and 5 into 6 is another. So now when you run it, you get 5 into 6 equal to, okay, from here, slash n, new line, and then 5 into 6, 30. What did we say? Comma will give you blank space, isn't it? That's why you get this one blank space here because of this comma. So this is how you can join two lines together or break one line into multiple lines. So 20 comma 30, right? Now I'm printing 20 comma 30 because I want this to be two different values, isn't it? Okay, so you will get 20 and 30 separated by space because these are two different items. These are two different set of values. But let's say if you want to mix them together, your requirement is that you want to put them together. So this is something that we will discuss when we go to string. You have to, okay, put them this as a string, okay, and this as a string, okay. So now when you put them string, what happens? You still get 20 and 30, and instead of comma, you add these two string together. So this is like adding two text, two string together. Now when you run it, you get 20 and 30. So if I don't put quotation, so it's like adding two number. And when you add two number, it becomes 50. Or when you put them separately, the purpose is why you are putting them separately. Purpose is that they are two different stuff. So you will always have space between them. But if you do not want space between them, then you have to convert them into string and then join two strings together. We have started talking about basic data types. Basic in the sense one variable name will store only one value. Okay. And when we go to advanced, you can see that one variable name can store more than one value. That's what we say when we say advanced data structure. So let's say if you have var1, okay, equal to 5, and I did mention that, you can check with the type function, what is the data type of that variable. So this var1 equal to 5 is like saying, let x be equal to 5, correct? And then you want to know what type of value x has or var1 has. So when I run this here, so see, it says integer, right? Now, similarly, if I'll just copy and save it here so that we know it. And in this case, I'll put 5.0. Now, when you put a decimal point, even it could be 0, right? But still it has a decimal point. So it treats this as a float. Okay. Now, what is class? Python is a class and object-oriented programming language. Everything is treated as class and object here. Okay. For now, let's assume that class is like a group, okay, with similar functionalities. So it belongs to a group called float, and float has all the floats will have similar functionalities or usage, right? Later we will get into class and object discussion, and we'll understand more about what is class, how to create our own classes. Now same thing, okay, if I put this in quotation, whether you put as single quote, double quote, you put as triple quote, okay, you put as triple quote, all of these will have same meaning, right? They're all string. So you have class string. So that's how you define string object. And the final fifth one is when you talk about Boolean values, true or false. Okay. Now see here, I'm not giving this in quotation. So it's not string. If I give this in quotation, it would become string. But I'm not giving in quotation. That's first point. And second point, spelling. Okay. T capital and rest are lowercase. Okay. And if you try to do something else, let's say TRUE, okay, it'll give you error. Okay, because it doesn't understand this. It will only understand this value as Boolean, okay, if you give in this specific or in this manner, the spelling in this manner. And of course, when you do type of this, it is Boolean type, right? Okay. Now let's take some examples and we'll see what's the usage of these variables. Now, why do we use variables? Okay. So I was saying that variable means, the values that we store can change. Okay. This is your variable name. This is called as variable because the value of variables would change. Here it is 5.0. Here it became a string 5. Here it became a Boolean true. right? So of course, values of a variable can change. Now, in other languages, okay, if you define something as integer, it can only take integer value. But in Python, you can give any value. It can be integer here in line number 2, and suddenly in line number 5, it became a float. In line number 8, become a string. Okay. So it can change its value anytime. Now let's take simple example. I'm going to say length equal to 10, breadth equal to 15. Okay. Now let's assume that these are dimension of your rectangular field. And I want to find area and perimeter. So how will you find area? So you will say area equal to length star breadth. This is how we write into multiplication sign in programming. Okay. The star side, which is on your numeric 8, right? You press shift 8 and you get this, right? So this is a formula for calculating area. And then you have perimeter. Perimeter equal to 2 times, correct? So 2 times, and now you have to do length plus breadth, right? BODMAS rule. So first bracket would mean that first we need to add these two, right? And then you add this plus sign. So you need to add these two variables and then multiply this with 2. That's what perimeter means, correct? So now I can print something like this. Area of a rectangle with length, right? So I have put this entire thing in quotes. So this will be printed as it is. Area of rectangle with length would be printed as it is. Now I'm saying, okay, length. Now this is outside quotation. That means here we are replacing the value of variable. We are replacing this variable with its value, right? That's why we did not put inside the quotation, right? So area of a rectangle with length 10, comma, and breadth, you say breadth, then you say is, now you say area, now you say is this, and perimeter is, you say peri. Right? Lot of text, lot of variables here in one single print. So whatever we write in quotation will be printed as it is. What is without quotation is evaluated. Python will try to evaluate this. They say, okay, length is defined here. So, okay. So I need to replace this with 10. So let's see this. You see this? Area of a rectangle with length 10 and breadth 15 is 150 and perimeter is 50. Now, there is another way where you don't have to put so many quotations, so many commas, variables, okay? That is called format string or F string. Okay, we call this as F string, okay, or your format string. So this is going to format the output. What we do, you put F here and then you put quotation. So the moment you put F here, Python knows, okay, you want to do formatting. Okay. So this is the exact text I want output to be in. So I'm going to copy and paste it here. Okay. Now you see, this 10 has to be replaced with its variable because later if you change the value of this 10 to something else, it should automatically take. So what I'm saying is, let's say it becomes 100. Let's say length you give 100. Now in this case, everything is changed, right? That's why we used as a variable, because if you change it to 100, see, length got changed, area got changed, perimeter got changed. But if you put them all as a text, you won't, I mean, these will be fixed, right? So how do we make this as variable? So here you put curly bracket and put the variable name. Curly bracket is to indicate to Python that I'm going to use variable name within the curly bracket. Similarly, here 15 is to replace with breadth, right? So you put curly bracket and put breadth here. This is your area. Replace this with area here. This is your peri. Replace 50 with peri here. Now you run it. Exact same output. And personally, when there are more than two variables, I find this way easier to work with than this. If there is only one or say two variables, I still go with this method only. And this method I use when I have to handle more than two variables. But again, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to use this or this. You have your own choice. Whatever you feel comfortable, you can use it. If you feel comfortable using this, very well. Okay. But if you feel comfortable using this, you can use this. Now, why f is required is, let's say if I use same, okay, print, and this time I don't give f here. So I'm not indicating that it's a format string. Okay. If I don't indicate it's a format string, and now when I run it, you see this? It is printed as it is. Because it is treated like a text, there is no way to tell Python that this is a variable and you need to replace this with a variable with its value. There is no way to say that. That's why we have to put f. The moment you put f, it knows, okay, if means there will be some curly brackets inside. And within the curly bracket, whatever you have, that we need to replace with the value of that. Now, format can be used to, of course, format this output, and also you can use it to format a float value or format a string value. So let's say I want to format a float value. Okay. So let's take another example. Let's say I talk about total. Okay. Total items, right? So let's say you have total items you bought is 100. Okay. Or you not 100, let's put something else like 77. Total items you bought is 77. Okay. This is the total items you bought. And total price that you paid is, let's say total price you paid is 367. Okay. So this is the total price you paid. So what is the price per item? Price per item, okay, would be total price divided by total item, correct? Now let's say same thing I want to print it in format string. So I'm going to say print f. So I'm going to say cost of each item when total price paid is total price for, let me put total items here. Cost of each item when total price paid is so much for, okay, this is for 77 items is currency. Let's say I put some currency. Right? And here, of course, you'll have price item. Right? This probably makes sense. Let's run and see. Yes, right? Cost of each item when total price paid is 367 for 77 items is 4.766. It has calculated, and Python is known to calculate to a very large accuracy level. But when we talk about currencies, right, we don't give more than 2 decimal point. So this is where you can use format string to format. What you have here is you can put a colon. So if you are formatting in the way you want the output to be, okay, you can only format the way it is displayed. We want it to display only two values. So you put colon. Okay, always colon. And we'll see a couple of more examples, you will be very clear. Colon indicates that we are now going to format the output. Okay, so I want to format the decimal points. I'm going to say point, decimal point. And how many values you want after decimal? You want only two values. So I'll say 2. And then I will say F. F indicates float. So I'm saying 0.2F. Decimal point, after decimal point, only two values, that's by 2. And F is for float. Now when you run it, you see it has formatted to two decimal places only. You want only one decimal place. So you give 1. So this is 4.8. Right? So this is how you can format a float value. So now I want you to do some assignment. This is the process, how you can send me the assignment. Okay. Create Google Drive folder and share with me. And within this folder, add your .py files. So your first assignment coming now. So assignment 1 and first program is write a program to calculate area and circumference of a circle in a formatted manner. Something like what we have done in today's session. Okay. Then write a program to calculate area and perimeter of a square. Write a program to calculate simple interest to be paid when principal amount, rate of interest, and time is given. You want to try one more? Write a program to take degree Celsius as input and give Fahrenheit equivalent output. Make sense? And if you don't know the formula, you can do the Google search to get the formula, right? You don't know how to calculate the perimeter of a square. You can do Google search, get the formula. Please search for formula only, okay? Don't search for Python program. I mean, these programs are available on internet, okay? But I want you to try, right? We'll move ahead. Okay, so we'll see one more example of format before we get into operators. Okay, so in this case, we will see example of string. Now you see, okay, now you can have multiple variables added in one single line. For example, let's say I want to add name, okay, name, I want to add country, and let's say position. These three, I want to create three variables. I want to give values for each of these three variables. So I give name as, let's say, Virat. Okay, country as India, and position as, let's say, opening. I created three different variables. So you separate them by comma. So variable 1, comma, variable 2, comma, variable 3 equal to value 1, comma, value 2, comma, value 3. So first value will go to first variable. Second value will go to second variable. Third value will go to third variable. Okay. Now I want to print something like this. Print F player, and then I'll have player name. I'll say plays for, I'll say country. So player Virat plays for India as AN, and here I will say position, let's say, in the in cricket game, in cricket. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. So player Virat plays for India as an opening, okay, in the cricket. Okay, right? Now let's say I have second value to be printed here. Okay. Now here we have different player. Let's say this guy. And this guy is a player from Zimbabwe, let's say. And he is a wicket keeper, let's say. Okay. Now when you run it, so player M plays for J and okay. Now you see, okay, we are printing same text, right? Just that names are different. So how about printing player below player, which it has done anyways, plays below plays, right? Cricket below cricket. So that it's like fixed length. Okay, it's a fixed length, and only the values that you're printing obviously will change. So that means, let's say if I assign, let's say here this guy has about 8-letter name, right? And this guy has only 5-letter name. So what happened? This actually pushed this text by 3 spaces, isn't it? But what if I fix 10 spaces for name? In that case, this Virat will also have 10 spaces. Mangwaba will also have 10 spaces, right? Now your P will start from 11th space, or blank will be at 11th, P will be from 12th space. So that way you will be able to maintain that number of spaces, isn't it? So how do we do that? So we are talking about formatting the output, correct? So formatting the output, you will say colon here, very similar to what we did here. Okay, so we are saying colon here, colon here. Now we want to give 10 spaces for the name. So I'll say name should be printed in 10 spaces. Name should be printed in 10 spaces. So we are giving fixed number of spaces here. We are giving fixed number of spaces. Great, 10 spaces done. Now name is only 5 character, right? And you're giving 10 spaces. Where in that 10 will it be, should it print? Should it be left aligned? So that the text will be on the left side and you have blank spaces on the right. That's left alignment, right? Or you want to keep it right alignment where the blank spaces will be on the left. So you'll have 5 blank spaces and then you have 5 characters. Or you want to have a center alignment where you have equal number of spaces on both the side. Okay. And when you have uneven, right, odd number of spaces like 5, you will have 3 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Okay. So extra space will be on the right side in the central line. So you also need to indicate to Python that you want to make it a left aligned, central aligned, or right aligned. So let's say I want to make this as left aligned. So you'll put less than sign. So this is to indicate that, okay, arrow to the left, go left, just how you understand, okay? You put less than, indicating go to the left side. That's how arrow indicate, right? When you have arrow to the left means go to the left. So you're saying characters or your spelling, okay, go to the left and leave blanks on the right side. So now when I run it, you see that 10 spaces are reserved for the name. Okay, 5 is taken up and rest 5 is left blank on the right side because we said go left, the text is on the left side. Okay, same way here, 2 spaces are left blank. Okay, now country, I want it to be right aligned. So colon, and let's give 15, right? Or maybe 10 here. This is also about 4 plus 4, 8, right? Yeah, let's give 10 here or 12 here. Let's give 12. So colon 12, right? That means we want 12 spaces to be kept reserved for country. And I'm saying go right aligned. I want to align on the right side. Okay. So arrow should be on the right side. So colon arrow value. Colon arrow value. Okay. So now when you run it, you see, so you have 12 spaces reserved and the texts are right aligned. So you have blank spaces on the left side. Now for the position, I want to give 15 characters. Now let's say if I give 10 here, obviously this is more than 10, right? If I give 10 here, then this is going to ignore the alignment. If you have more text to be printed, it's not going to, remove the text. It will, in that case, it's going to ignore your alignment. Okay. So here I'm going to say 15 and I want to make it as a centrally aligned. Central aligned means you have left arrow to go left, right arrow to go right, and now you'll say go up arrow. You see on your key 6 caret sign. What do you call this? Okay. This is to indicate that go center, go up, go center. Right? So by assigning 15 characters and I'm saying that make it centrally aligned. That means equal number of spaces will be left on both the side. You see? So you have left alignment, right alignment, and central alignment. Now you see, in the cricket is exactly below each other. As and is exactly below each other. Place 4, exactly below each other. So this is how you can even format string in Python.